What's up, YouTube? I hope you can still hear me because there's no way I'm gonna do another take if this audio isn't good. I'll probably do like reducing the noise on CapCut, but we'll see how it goes. If not, then I have to record somewhere else for my second take. But I hope the wind is not too bad and you can hear me clearly. But it's my rest day currently. It is right now 7:13 a.m. and it is like really I took a little while to do some content here, but I decided to go on a light run and do some recovery. It's my rest day. And so you might be thinking, well, why are you still waking up so early on your rest day? Well, that's where most people fall off, you know? Like, I still love to wake up early in general, no matter if it's my rest day or not. I can do some other things that I like to do, like content, for example. I woke up at 5 o'clock today. No, actually like 4:30. And I got here, I did my morning routine. I got here at 5:30, quite early if I'm being honest. And for the past hour and a half, I was just doing some content for that stuff. And so I did some content for that. And now we're here. You know, I did my light run, I did my content, and now we're here an hour and a half later and just chatting it up. So this is like the days where I really want to dial in and structure myself, because a lot of people fall off their rest days and they think it's their cheat days. They think it's the lazy days. And so this is when you really have to strategically use your rest days to help you, not pull you back, your progress, essentially. Sorry, my hair is crazy right now. And I'm trying to have these headphones to kind of like stick it down, but it's not working clearly. But people think that their rest days are cheat days, they're lazy days. They could just sit around all day, and they think that the only progress that comes is in the gym. So they tend to like sometimes work 6 to 7 days a week, and so that becomes their whole personality. But that's where, you know, again, a lot of people fall off, and it's not actually a rest day. It's not like you're sitting around all day. It's your recovery day. And so I still like to go on my light runs. I still like to go on walks. I still like to, you know, get up early and go out to like a coffee shop, get some content stuff done, get some recording done, maybe get some work done. And, you know, I still follow my same exact routine on rest days, more strategically, because this is the days where I'm prone to, like, you know, overeat or sit around too much, or just not do my daily stuff, essentially. No matter if you're in the gym or not, you must take accountability for yourself, for your health, and living an overall healthy lifestyle as your identity. It's not like, oh, on your gym days you're dialed in, but on your rest days you're not. No, this is a whole identity shift that must take place. And so you have this misconception, if you're someone who tends to really fall off the rest days, you stimulate growth in the gym, all right? You stimulate it. And on your rest days, you recover. That's where you're really built. So you're built more during recovery, during your nutrition, during your, recovery, nutrition, and just activity level on your rest days. That's where you really grow, because your body is only stimulated 4 to 6 hours of the week. 4 to 6 hours of the week. And that's in the gym. But we have 168 hours in a whole week. So what are you doing for the rest of the 160 hours? You know, it just doesn't make sense that you only think you're gonna grow while you're lifting, but not outside. So it just doesn't make sense. So you have to really prioritize the 160 hours you have outside, and not just, you know, prioritize, oh, I'm growing in the gym. You get the stimulation, you get the sensation that you're growing in the gym by getting a pump, but that's not what grows you. Like, you temporarily have like a more blood flow going through your body, so you feel bigger, you feel, you know, more swole, but that's just because your muscles are just popping out more. You know, but when you're resting, they don't really pop out as much. So you just get this dopamine hit of like, oh, I got the pump, I got the pump, I got the pump. But the pump is not what makes you grow, right? So I just want to take you guys through an active rest day, an active recovery day for me personally, what I'm doing currently to be able to maintain my shape and actually try to get in the leanest possible. You know, I'm not the leanest right now, but that's the whole point of this video stuff, content stuff, is that I'm just showing what exactly I'm doing, because I know I'm gonna get there. It's not like a lack of knowledge, it's just a more of lack of implementation that I had. So I had the knowledge, I just need to actually stick to the plan, and I just want to document it and show you guys exactly what I'm doing to be able to get in the best shape. You know, who knows where I'll be in 1 to 2 years, you know? It'll probably be much, much better depending how much action I take, you know? But this is a whole identity shift. It's not just your gym days where you take action, excuse me, where you take action. You get the stimulation in the gym, you get the pump in the gym, but if you're not actively recovering with your nutrition, with your sleep, with your cardio, you're not actually growing. You know, that's where the real growth is built. So I'm gonna go home right now. I'm gonna show you guys what I'm exactly eat. You know, I'm just a coffee shop nearby. I'm gonna get some coffee, and caffeine is not bad at all unless you're taking it too early in the morning. So I would take it at least an hour and a half after you wake up. So I woke up at 4:30, so that means 6 o'clock I should be good to have some. So, and right now it's 7 o'clock, so I mean, it's more than past 2 hours. So it's 7 o'clock, I might get some coffee right now. If not, then I'm just gonna go straight back home, and I'll show you guys my breakfast for what I usually eat in the morning. Depending if it's ground beef or eggs, I'll see what I have. Sometimes I forget to defrost the meat from the freezer. So sometimes I just go stick with eggs, but if I have the ground beef, then I'll go with the ground beef. So essentially, don't want to make this part too long. Just gonna go home right now. We're gonna go have probably some coffee, and just take you guys with me throughout this, as I'm a really small channel right now. I'm a really small channel. I have about almost 500 subscribers. I started back in February. You know, it is August now. It's August 1st now. Wow. Okay, so February, March, April, May, June, July, August. So it's about to be 6 months. 6 months of actually doing YouTube. Like for the first 2 months, I was really quite consistent, but then I fell off for a bit, and then I just got it back on, posting shorts, posting long form, and just documenting my journey. So I've been getting quite some views right now, which I'm very thankful for, because I didn't think I would have this many views already. It's not much, obviously, but you know, having 300 views on a video when you have 500 subscribers is actually really encouraging. So I really appreciate for whoever watched that video of like when I was overweight to what changed now, because I was really overweight back in January, man. January I was overweight, so that was my peak bulk point, or that at least that was the excuse I was telling myself. I was just bulking because I was skinny. But I'm not gonna drag this on. Just gonna go home, and I'll see you at home. Okay, I hope the audio is better now, because I'm back at home. We didn't end up getting coffee. I just went straight back home, and I just made some breakfast. So I had strawberries here before, and I had another slice of bread, but I just ate them before. And I was making my brother a bagel sandwich. So I just like started picking out of my food just to, you know, just fuel myself as I cooked this sandwich. But as I said before, like the gym is only the first half of the whole process of trying to get lean, build muscle, and stay shredded and just stay lean, right? So the nutrition and the recovery is the second part. You know, like, well, it's like thirds. It kind of like it's like thirds. There's gym, there's nutrition, and there's the recovery. So I would say like three aspects. But anything outside the gym, I would say is just really more important than inside the gym, because inside the gym you can stimulate yourself, you can stimulate your muscles, but if you're not eating well, you're just eating fast food, I mean, then you're not going to see much progress. Like, not saying you're going to see no progress, but in the beginning, if you're a beginner, you're going to see quite some progress. That's probably the most progress you'll see, like as fast as you possibly can, and then it'll start to slow down as your body gets used to the training. But most people neglect this part. They neglect it. And right here we have, I didn't explain how I have, but I usually have some eggs, turkey breast, banana, and had some strawberry, and I had 2 slices of bread. But this bread I got recently, it's whole grain bread, and it's thinly sliced, right? So each slice of these is 60 calories each, and that works perfectly for me. Sorry, that works perfectly for me because it's very low calorie, and if you toast it, it feels like it's more volume, right? Instead of just being soft. So I toasted it, and I mean, I toasted it a while ago, so it kind of went soft again, but I toasted it, and it's really good and low calorie. It really fits in my macros. So yeah, we had some bread, banana, eggs, turkey breast, and strawberry to start off with today's breakfast. So it's gonna be really good. I'm gonna eat this all off camera, but I just wanted to show before I like annihilated um, all this. But yeah, your nutrition, your macros are really important. I mean, you can like go on the lower end of protein on your rest days, but I would say still hit your macros and prioritize your protein, or else you're working out, but you want to preserve the muscle. You want to, let's say you're losing weight, you want to preserve the muscle. There's a bee right there. I'm kind of terrified. Um, but let's say you want to lose fat. You want to preserve as much muscle. You don't want to just lose weight. You want to lose the fat, right? So you want to hit your protein goal every single day as much as you can, as consistently as you can. I would say every single day, or else your body's going to start to look for energy. If you're in a calorie deficit, your body's going to look for energy in other aspects of your body, and you don't want it to take energy from the muscle, right? You want it to take energy from the fat. So many mosquitoes here. But you want it to take energy from the fat, because if you don't feed it your muscles with enough protein, that means your body's like, okay, I'm working now, I'm exercising, but I don't have enough energy, and I don't seem to have enough protein, so I'm not going to use the protein to preserve the muscle, so I'm just going to take the muscle to use as energy. So you're kind of working backwards if you're working out, but you're not hitting your protein, because your muscles, you want to stimulate your muscles, but you don't want to use muscle to break down muscle. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it kind of sounds confusing, but just make sure you hit your macros, make sure you hit your protein goal, and you know, in aspects of breakfast, I like to have something that's not too much in carbs, because I get sleepy later in the day if I have too many carbs in the morning. So I just have 2 slices of bread, and the fruits is very like low calorie, low carb. It's just there for the taste, but and I had a little bit of syrup all over the fruit too, so that was just fine. But the bread, that's like the max carbs I would have. Like, I would have potato too, but I wouldn't have too much. If it was after a workout though, that's when I would up the carbs a little bit more. You know, and usually I work out in the morning, so technically I do have carbs in the morning, but I feel fine after I refuel myself after a workout, because the carbs are what replenish the glycogen storages in your muscles. So you use glycogen as energy to push through the muscles, push through the workout, but then now you have to replenish it after the workout. So if your post-workout meal has no carbs, then I mean, you're just kind of getting just minimal gains, right? And so I'm gonna eat this up right now. Make sure you really hit your nutrition goals. Nutrition is a really important part of your recovery, and probably, I would say, the most important. I would say they're all super important, but the most important will probably be your nutrition, because you could be sleeping well, probably. You could be working out, but if you're not feeding your body with the right amount of foods, with the correct foods, protein is not just protein. Protein from a McChicken sandwich is different from protein from a eggs or ground beef. It's totally different. You want to have less processed foods, because the less processed it is, that means your body takes more calories to break it down. right? The more natural the food is, like eggs, bananas, strawberry, the less processed, the more time it takes to break down, and the more time it takes, that means the more calories you burn just breaking down the food. But if you're having processed foods from like fast food restaurants or just on the side, like on a I don't know, on a stand on the street, there's like candy or something. If you're having already all these processed foods, that means your body isn't, it's already processed. So your body isn't like using much energy. And so all that energy that you get from the processed foods, your body's not really burning energy to digest already because it's already processed. So that means it's gonna get stored as extra fat. So it's like a double whammy. It's like you don't wanna eat processed foods as much as you can because it just hits hard on your progress in getting lean and getting shredded in the gym, or getting lean and getting shredded physique. So that's just like the science behind it. I don't want to be science based, but that's just literally what it is. So that's why I try to have as natural foods as possible. So I'm gonna eat this up, and then we're gonna do some walking after this meal because I don't like to be bloated. So I'm gonna do some walking. I have my treadmill right there, and yeah, I'll see you in the next scene. All right, so we're on the treadmill after that meal. As I said before, nutrition and recovery are very important, and so part of recovery is also doing some cardio, especially if you're losing weight, right? Or losing weight primarily. And so the reason why I still do, even though I'm not losing much weight right now, my goal, I already lost a lot of weight, but I'm not trying to lose much more weight anymore because or else I'll look like a twig. The reason why I still do cardio is because, especially low steady state cardio specifically, steady state cardio is slow and it's not as intense, right? So if it's not as intense, then your body doesn't need to break down energy as fast as it needs to. So it doesn't go for the carb storages or the glucose storages, right? So instead, it'll go towards the fat because the fat takes longer to break down, but since it's low steady state cardio, it still has the time to break it down. So this is otherwise called the zone 2 fat loss phase. You want to be in zone 2, which is about 140, 150 beats per minute. And so right now, well, I can't check right now because I'm holding my phone, but ideally you want to be in an incline of the max incline you can be at like 3 to 3.5 speed. And so that will get you near around that range of 140, 150 beats per minute, which is why I love to stay consistent with this type of cardio because it's for fat loss. If you do a lot of running, let's say you do a lot of running, do a lot of intense sprinting, that's going to take a lot of more energy, quick energy in specific, quick energy, which quick energy can come from carbs. And so if you're trying to sprint or run for fat loss, you're kind of not doing that so because you're using the carb storages, the glucose storages to break down energy faster so that you can use that energy for the intense workout that you're having. So whether that's you're sprinting, whether that's you're doing a lot of running, whether that's you're doing weightlifting, all those require a good amount of source of carbs so that you can fuel your workout and you can fill your muscles with glucose. Glucose is the sugar in your muscles that, or like, I don't know specifically, but I know the glucose, it comes from the carbs, right? Your body breaks down the carbs as into sugar called glucose, and then you use that energy that fuels your workout and gets you that really good pump, right? So that's why you want to ideally have a good amount of carbs for a workout so that you can use all that energy for the workout. And then I'm trying to talk here while I walk, but and then after, when you broke down your muscle, you used all the glucose, you used all that energy. That's why I say have carbs after, right? So carbs is essential for both post-workout and pre-workout, right? But you don't have to follow that. I train fasted sometimes here and there, so I still see good progress, but not as much as I know I can be, right? So that's why
Anyways, back to the fat loss thing and the recovery. That's why low steady state is important to keep on a consistent basis, even on your recovery days, on your rest days. Right? You don't want to be sitting around the couch all day. You don't want to be eating on your rest days. That's cheat meals. Rest days aren't cheat days. So make sure you're recovering well with your food, but not only your food, but if you want to minimize the fat that goes into your body, use low steady state cardio. That's what I'm doing right now. Just having a walking treadmill at home. I bought this recently, so pretty good investment, if I'm being honest. So I've been using it every single day when I just don't want to. Because sometimes I would go around the block, but I would have to go around the block like 20 times for me to get a good amount of steps. So it kind of gets tiring when you see the same thing over and over again. So I mean, I'd rather just have me simply here and listening to a podcast, listening to something while I walk here so that I could just pass time quicker. But that's essentially why I do low steady state. Really important for being able to minimize the fat that goes into your body. And so we're just here. I usually do like 30-minute intervals. So 30 minutes I'll do walking, and then I'll do another 30 minutes later, and probably like another 30 minutes late at night, just to get those at least 10,000 to 12,000 steps. So that's why it's super important that you don't just sit around all day on your rest days. I used to just sit around, eat whatever. Since I don't hit the gym, I can just eat whatever, and I'm not gonna gain weight. Well, over time you will gain weight. So try to be consistent with recovering well, doing your cardio daily, and I don't want to expand too much on this topic, but you get the point, right? So this is why I would recommend at least hitting 10 to 12,000 steps per day minimum when you're in the beginning phase of losing fat, because that's the easiest phase, and you could speed up that process by keeping your protein intake high and also doing the cardio daily. Just simply walking 10 to 12,000 steps. You don't have to do all this running, all this cycling. You don't have to do so much intense cardio. But eventually you'll get to a point where you have to do some cycling, some more little moderately intense, because the first phase of fat loss is the easiest, but then your body gets into this defensive mode. It's here to survive. So once it gets to defensive mode, it tends to hold the fat, especially in your belly, so that it can protect the organs and protect and survive and thrive. It's not meant to lose weight. It wants to survive and be comfortable. And so that's why the belly fat is the last one to go. So once you get past that stage, the first stage of like, okay, I've lost a good amount of weight, I lost like 10 to 15 pounds. Now your body gets defensive, and then you're gonna have to implement some more moderately intense cardio just to burn more calories. And then you'll probably have to cut back on the calories to eat per day, but your protein has to still be high. If your protein's not there, like I said before, your body's going to use the muscle for energy, and that's not the point of this whole fitness journey. You want to be able to lose the fat, not just weight, not just any weight. You want to be able to preserve the muscle and lose the fat. So I'm going to finish this up right now. I'm going to aim for, I'm already at like 7,000 steps because today I was at the beach. So did some light jogging, and so I'm already more than halfway to my goal, if I'm being honest. My goal is like 12,000 minimum per day. So I'm already at 7,000. So we're gonna finish this up, and I'll probably see you at the final scene of this topic. Hello, we're back after a nice cold shower. So I just went to go do a cold shower. I like to shower in the morning, especially with cold water, as it like really amps up my mood, and I feel that like dopamine, that natural better dopamine of like, oh, you went through a cold shower. You're mentally toughening yourself. It's not necessarily like the cold showers are gonna make you all the success in the world. No, it's just a mental thing.
It's just a mental thing that I like to do something that I don't like to do. Even on rest days, recovery days, even if I don't work out, sure, it's good to do like a cold plunge or do a cold shower after you work out or like a long run. But even on rest days or recovery days, I like to do it anyways. But before I get into some deep work right now, we just got some coffee. I figured if I didn't get coffee from like a coffee shop, I would just make my own. So that's what we did. And so before I get into this, I just want to recap and touch on the last point on using recovery days to build muscle, or your rest days, so to speak, is it mentally challenges you. It tests you on how mentally fit you are. Your rest days aren't just rest days, they're mental days. It's easy to hit a workout when it's on the calendar. It's easy to just drive to the gym, you bump up the music and you feel all this amped up and you hit the weights, you feel all this good pump. But that's just temporary, right? That's just temporary stimulation. That's again 6 hours of the week max. You're stimulating the muscle. What are you doing for the rest of 162 hours of the week? That's where the real growth is built. Are you hitting your macros, your protein? Are you still doing your steps to minimize the fat? Are you binge eating? Are you still hitting your numbers? This is where most people fall off. And they think that their rest days or recovery days are just days where they could just do nothing all day. They could eat whatever they want, and it's okay because they're not hitting the gym. And when they hit the gym, then they'll lock in. It's easy to get that motivation when you hit the gym. You feel motivated to hit a post-workout meal because you just hit the gym. You feel motivated. You feel this nice stimuli in your muscles to feed it. You feel motivated to feed your muscles with healthy foods after the gym, obviously. Or you feel motivated to hit a pre-workout meal or a pre-workout scoop before the gym because you're about to hit the weights. But what about when the weights aren't there? When the pump isn't on the calendar? When on the calendar all it is nothing and just you and whatever else you have going on in your life, are you going to be hitting your macros still? Are you going to be eating whole foods still? Are you going to be going to binge eat at a fast food restaurant or even deliver food? How's your activity level? Are you still getting active? These are the days where people will most fall off because they think that these are just excuse days, like just cheat days to do whatever. And I used to think the same thing, right? I would hit the gym. This was like 2 3 years ago. 2 to 3 years ago, when I was exercising in my garage, I would hit the gym, but then or like in my garage, the garage gym. Sorry, and I feel motivated to eat healthy. I would have a couple eggs, some beans my mom made here and there, and I feel motivated. But then on rest days, I would just eat whatever. And it was actually hard to gain weight for me because I was playing soccer. So I would just burn all those calories off during the games, during the practice. I would just burn all those calories off. That's why it's hard for me to gain weight, even with working out. And I wasn't eating enough. So I had that mentality that, oh, I can just hit the gym, eat whatever I want, and not gain any weight. But I still didn't look the best. I still had a skinny fat body. I was pretty fast, but I had a skinny fat body because I was feeding myself junk. And so when no one's watching, when no one sees you in the gym because you're not there, how are you mentally? Are you still looking after yourself? It's easy to hit the weights when your friends are there, your gym bros there, people around you are there. They're probably, taking a glimpse at you and you want to be all tough and you want to, not you want to show your strength in front of everyone, which is fine. That's just a masculine urge. But mentally, when you go back home and it's just you and your thoughts, do you still hold yourself accountable? This is where the real test is at mentally. When there's no workout on the calendar, when there's no heavy weights to pick up, when there's no pump to chase, how are you mentally? Mentally, you have to become that identity of someone who is fit, or else it's going to be super hard to take on these challenges of trying to be consistent in the gym. Notice how people who are, on New Year's Day, there'll be a lot of people in the gym, they'll work out, and then after 2 weeks, they will quit. Or not even 2 weeks, probably a week, because they haven't mentally gotten fit.
So by trying to change an effect, which is the physical aspect, the physical aspect is an effect of your mental thoughts. And if your mental thoughts aren't aligned with the person you want to become, which I'm assuming is someone who is fit and strong and shredded and lean, you're not taking on the habits of someone who's strong and lean and has a built body, you're not going to become that person because your beliefs aren't there. Your habits aren't there. Your thoughts aren't aligned with the thoughts of the person you want to become. So when you think that you could just hit the gym and then on the other days you don't have to do anything else, you don't have to recover, you don't have to hit your protein, you don't have to do your cardio, you don't have to do this, you're reinforcing your old frequency of someone who is not fit. You're reinforcing that. And so you'll never make progress and you'll always stall out if your mental identity isn't there. That's why it's super important that I do the rebuild program. My program is called Modern Man Rebuild, where I rebuilt my habits. I rebuilt my nutrition. I rebuilt my workout. 6 months ago, 7 months ago now, it's August now, I was overweight and I had this so much ego and I had this bad eating habits. I had bad habits in general, not just eating habits, but other habits. You could probably guess what they are or what they were. But now I don't reinforce those thoughts because that's not my identity anymore. And when you don't have that identity, you literally killed your old self. You literally kill your old identity, your old self, because you're not aligned with that person's goals or with that person's thoughts. When you literally kill your old self and you take on the thoughts of someone who you want to become, the meals can become consistent. The workouts are consistent. Their cardio is consistent. The macros are consistent, even on recovery days. And so when you're consistent on the recovery days, you 10x your progress ahead of everyone else. You 10x your progress against the people who only want to work hard in the gym and nothing else. That was me. I used to just work hard in the gym and nothing else. Not my food, not my recovery, not my sleep. I had the identity of someone who was overweight because I didn't want to be consistent with everything else. But once I killed that old self, then now these mental thoughts align and help me become the person that I want to become. So now it's easier, still hard, but now it's easier to become that person. So I challenge you to become and kill the old self and become the new identity you want to become. Become the person that you want to become by changing your way of thinking. What would he think or she think? What would they do or she do? What are their habits? In this situation, what would my future self do in this situation? What would they do? So I challenge you to please just take on a new identity of someone that you want to become, because that's going to help you be even more motivated. Because when you know that it's easy to just make decisions in the present based off emotion. But when you know now that you have to make decisions of the person you want to become, it's hard to go back to that old frequency. It's hard for me to start binge eating again. It's hard for me to just ignore my macros now. Because I know the person in the future is aligned with my macros. This is just an example. And my old self wasn't. So now that if I don't hit my macros, I know that I'm going back to that old frequency of my old self. And that scares me. So use these rest days, use these recovery days as your mental challenges. These are mental days to get you to the next level. And eventually you'll make much more progress with your physical body once you get the mental body down. Okay, if you need help with that, if you need any help with that, I encourage you, if you need, like I needed the help the most, and I got the help that I needed, I was able to change myself because I invested into myself, right? I'm not saying you have to invest in me. Invest in anyone you trust, who has walked the path that you walked, and cut down that time to learn. It took me so long to just realize I had to drop my ego. It took me so long. I had to drop my ego and actually just do the work that I was avoiding to do. Okay? It took me too long. It took me too long. I could have done it faster. But
I encourage you to look for some help if you've been stuck for a while in the situation of not being the best in your physique or mental wise, and actually rebuild your habits, rebuild your life, rebuild it all. I'm starting to rebuild it all in real time. That's why I'm taking these videos. And I want to see and look back on these like I'm proud of him. So think of your future self and think of them watching you now. Would they be proud of your decisions right now? Think about that. Right, so I'm going to end the video off here. Don't want to drag this on for too long, but going to get some deep work done and going to edit this video. And I encourage you to, if you want to subscribe, if you found value, appreciate it if you subscribe. If you didn't find value, or if you did find value but you don't subscribe, I still hope you stick around and find value in the other videos that I have. But I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.